IVM.
Hello, welcome to Football Portal. My name is Saru. Yes, my man.
What's up? What's up?
And we have our dear friend Azim, who's come back on the podcast after all the depression bout of like losing Lampard and getting a better manager. Azim, what's up?
Thank you for calling me at the right time. It wouldn't have been a very civil podcast if you would have called me 3 weeks back.
Oh God, we get flagged off on Apple Podcasts if it's quite uncivil, and we have not marked it as like a dirty podcast. That was one of the first lessons I was
prudent. Very prudent of you to call me now then.
Because I had asked the question, how many times can we use the F word? They said ki 1-2 is okay. But more than that, we need to say that this is not for a family and things like that. We need to do
this. I'm pretty sure families don't hear a toddler, do they?
Yeah, and plus, how will the kids learn, man? I mean, how will our legacy move forward?
Exactly.
The kids need to learn to cuss, right?
Yeah,
I think that's part of football.
Yeah, apparently that is the only part of football which I don't know how to even talk about because of the racism angle. But let's start over things we know. Yash, why is your manager throwing this title away? I already announced 7 weeks ago that it was Manchester United's title to lose. So why is he hell-bent on proving me wrong?
So I think it's a well thought out strategy, because if he continued with his run in the league, then he would have had just one KRA. Right now he has like 3 KRAs, which is like doing so in the league and maybe try to win an FA Cup or that Europa League. If he would have been, much closer to City, then everyone would have said just,
you should win it.
Just sacrifice the other 2 competitions. You're not going to get another chance to win the league.
But he is
only 5 points away from City, right?
Well, City have a game in hand, and that's against Burnley, so that's a 5-0 there.
But including that game in hand, if I account for that win, it's 5 points, right?
No, it's not.
It'll be
it's 5 points right now. With game in hand, it'll become 8.
Oh my God.
I know, but that's not even the question. Why? We know Solskjaer is going to lose in the semi-final of FA Cup, if not before that. Aren't they playing? Who are they playing right now in FA Cup? City.
No,
West Ham.
But this is round of 16 West Ham.
So in the semi-final, they'll probably meet City and lose. We know that.
Yeah, but it's easier to try to win that one game rather than, win 15 in a row and try to win the title.
I actually think the other way around. If they actually, win the league, then Solskjaer will be given a contract extension and he needs to sit through it for another 1 year or 2 years. And he's like, oh no, I can't deal with this.
Does he have an option?
Of course he
not
has
dealing with this. Why would he? Why would he let go of the United job?
He's not. No,
he's sarcastic. Sarcasm.
Okay. All
right. So before we got into the podcast, yes, there was this thing of Solskjaer's contract extension talks have been suspended till the end of season.
Yeah.
Why? We speculate. None of us know the reason, right?
So I don't know. Maybe Solskjaer is asking for a 200% hike or something based on the results right now.
I think if I have to give a sane answer, I think it's because United are no longer a part of the Champions League. They will surely qualify for the Champions League next season, looking at how they're playing right now and their league position. But if I account for it, they're not going deep into the Champions League, and the Premier League is also. It's going to be tough if they have to win the league. So it might be that also Solskjaer ends the year without a trophy, despite playing well, of course. So if that is the case, probably United are not on track to what their ambitions are, and they might look out for somebody else. But I don't know who's available who will do a better job than Solskjaer.
Super Frank.
I don't think they are appointing Frank Lampard. So that's out of the question. They probably might go for some more experience. But Allegri, I don't think Allegri's style of football is suited.
He's going to be there for this season at least, and managers get sacked or move on all the time. So we can't really predict these things.
Yeah, I think he's going to be there for a long time. This guy has 9 lives. Whenever there's a report, he's going to get fired on a Saturday. Somehow everyone turns up. Even Pogba played well for like 4 weeks. Imagine the only guy who is getting pelted and abused, Yash,
Yeah.
is this Tuanzebe. Poor guy. What wrong did he do? Why is he getting abused?
Dude, I honestly think that United should consult a witch doctor, because I think they already had to get rid of the number 7 jersey curse, and that curse has now moved on to Tuanzebe, because I mean it's so unfortunate. Like most of the mistakes that he has committed weren't really big mistakes. It's just balls deflecting off him. A foul that he commits at the half line ends up in the goal. And for most of them, it was really the fault of other players, namely De Gea and Maguire. All of them, like other people have committed much bigger mistakes, but well, racism.
Why does Tuanzebe just get abused so much? Is it because of his black, the racism angle?
That is a part of it. But it's I don't know. I mean, when three different things go wrong for you, people get frustrated, and it's random. I hope that people online look beyond racist abuse and all that. But I mean, I don't know. It's really, I think you can't explain this.
It's more so because of the fact that he's not a regular. If he were, a Pogba or a Van Bissaka would not get abused as much, okay?
Because they're used to abuses. So they don't get one-off abuses.
Yeah, true. But then if Pogba has one bad game or makes a mistake, or Van Bissaka is in a habit of making mistakes as well. But I don't think they get abused as much because they are regulars. They
have some credit in the bank for that they have won. So which sort of deflects this kind of
exactly. So they have leverage, whereas Tuanzebe does not have any. So halka kun hawaldar ka kind of scenes hai.
Okay, the last question on this game is: how much credit in the bank does Harry Maguire have, guys?
Unlimited, infinite. The price tag gives him unlimited leverage. So I don't think there's any shortage on that front for Maguire.
Oh man, that guy. Wasn't there an image going around for Dominic Calvert-Lewin's goal that Harry Maguire played him on offside?
And then he was the first person to ask for the offside. The first person to raise his hand and
I don't know. Honestly, that was cropped in a way that I don't know when the ball was being kicked. I'm not alleging that Calvert-Lewin or whoever was offside, but it can easily happen that the ball's already kicked and he's the first one to respond and rush out.
Yeah,
so that can be.
When I saw it live, it seemed like almost everyone was like the line was wrong pretty much.
Oh man, I love Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He made my weekend. So happy I was. I mean, I was dreading the fact that Solskjaer may just win the league. So yes,
I was gonna take a -4, take out Lacazette, and get in Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And I'm like, no, it's Manchester United. They have a very good defense and they have been defending really well and all. My God, what the hell, dude? Give 12 points.
Alrighty, so let's move on from this game. Let's talk about our team, which is now fighting for top 4, and that is their aim for the season. Arsene Wenger's legacy, guys, is that top 4 championship, right? And the new entrant into this is Jurgen Klopp. So Jurgen Klopp has basically said top 4 is our aim this season. Gundogan and Ruben Diaz basically destroyed that man's happiness and his will. What was that performance by City? They're playing in a different level altogether. Oh God. Yes, your man Phil Foden, he's killing.
Yeah. I mean, I have to give it to him. Like if you are dividing the players in the world according to levels, and level 1 being the highest, I think he's already reached level 2. And initially, I used to think that what I mean is 2 years ago, I used to think that this guy is just a propaganda piece for City and Pep to prove that I can produce a homegrown player, because Pep initially had that reputation at Barcelona, but all those players ended up at Stoke. And apart from that, at Bayern, he wasn't there enough to bring through a young player. But finally, we see a genuine world-class player. I don't know what the ceiling of this guy is. The only thing that can stop him now is that when he becomes England's great white hope, the pressure will be too much on him. Otherwise, in a team like City, where he has all the freedom in the world to play how he wants, he's going to be an amazing player.
Yeah, but he's still going to have competition for places, right?
No, that's okay.
Foden's not going to
fair
be a
enough.
starter.
He's playing for Manchester City, dude. There has to be competition. But the only thing I would say, yes, is that at Bayern, he had Josh Kimmich, right? So,
Yeah, but nobody really attaches Josh Kimmich's success to Pep, right? Like he's not seen as a Pep player. Foden probably will be like that because he's been around since Foden was 16 and in the under 18 team, and now in the 5th year, Foden is one of his main players. So he truly is the manager who made Phil Foden in a way.
But Phil Foden, man, he and Sterling Azim, they just ran the game along with Gundogan, obviously. But the way they played the fullback, Sterling and Phil Foden, it was just. I mean, Trent Alexander-Arnold looks so ordinary all of a sudden. He looks like a Chelsea player. He looks like Marcus Alonso or something.
I think Azpilicueta would have done a better job than Trent Alexander-Arnold, at least on defense. Okay, if you saw the penalty which Sterling won, Arnold could have fouled Sterling outside the box. He pulled his leg back. He should have fouled him over there only. After that, Fabinho's trailing leg, Sterling was smart enough to catch the trailing leg and all. But Trent Arnold doesn't throw in a tackle when it needs to be. He's not a good defender. He's a superb attacker, but not a good defender. Basically, I cannot only blame Arnold, okay? We have to give it to City rather than blaming Liverpool for playing the way they did. City are phenomenal, like Yash mentioned. Foden was out. Foden had 2 assists and a goal. Foden controlled the game. Sterling ran riot. Gundogan, even after spurning a penalty, scored 2 goals. That's total annihilation. Okay, and I think Liverpool really need to introspect as to where it went wrong and what they need to do to make a comeback. Or I think even top 4 is difficult. If they keep on playing the same way, they've lost. Come on, they've lost at Anfield thrice in a row. When was the last time that happened? Okay, so it's not a long shot to say that they might not end up in top 4 as well if Van Dijk doesn't make a comeback soon. With Virgil, of course, they become much stronger.
Yeah, but Virgil is coming back. Virgil is coming back from an injury
in March. In March.
But you never know how he's going to react. No, it's not like you're expecting to top form after like 8-9 months of not playing football. That's just too much expectation.
Too much to ask for. Yes.
Yes, they'll have to hope that Kabak that they bought is world class or whatever, or the counterfeit Ben Davis.
Who is this new Ben Davis?
Yeah, he's the counterfeit version.
He's from Spurs. That's what Klopp said. So what happened is Klopp was asked this question at the press conference. What are your views? So isn't he a Spurs player? Klopp replied, and then he found out that okay, they've already bought the player for 2 million. So okay, yeah. I don't know anything about him yet. Did anybody see Tsimikas? Tsimikas also featured against City.
I mean, they should make things easier. Yeah, he should like put in his middle name or add another name like Kyle Walker Peters.
Peters, yeah.
It avoids confusion.
Like Ben Mofo Davis. All right, the final question before we enter a break. How ironic is it that United's hope for a title rests on Jose Mourinho's shoulder this weekend? Oh, God.
This actually speaking, I think this is the final hurdle for City, and I don't mean this game, but after this they play Arsenal, they play West Ham, and then play United. So these 4 games, I think if they get through this hurdle, then City win it. Coming back to the Spurs game, I think just to be relevant, just to remain relevant, Jose would want a result here. Because otherwise, I mean, his Spurs team is really trailing in the top 4 race also. So
they're not really. They are at 36 points in 22 games.
And with, I think, 2 games in
one game in hand. So
it's pretty difficult, right? This is not a position that Jose would want to be. But
no,
Jose loves the big stage, right? So this is a big stage that he has. So he would really want a result here and to come out against Pep and with his zingers in the match conference. So
yeah.
I think this is going to be a fun game.
He beats City.
It's going to be tough. The only game plan I've seen from Jose Mourinho is a counter-attacking game plan. I don't think that's the only way this is going to work because the way City is playing, City is very clinical right now. You just cannot sit back against them.
Dude,
You will have to attack them.
Tottenham in the last 4 games, including Poch's last game against City, they've had like 8 shots on goal and 8 goals. Right? That's how clinical Tottenham have
You
been.
cannot maintain a 100% conversion ratio in any football match. Let be, or any league for that matter. Let it be the Premier League itself.
I don't know,
But it's
man.
gonna be tough. Harry
Kane is
City
back
losing.
for the. Yeah, sure. Of course, none of us see City losing. They're playing so well. We're just hoping against hope that something happens.
Then it will have to be on Kane and Son. If Kane and Son get their act right, probably they can just nick it. Probably.
Yeah, of course. Mourinho also said that only in the press conference. He didn't say anything different. He said that with the post-match against West Brom, yes, when Kane is there, Son also knows how to play. And Kane is
Son did not touch the ball. Son started at centre forward the last game when Kane was not available. Poor guy is not seen in the entire game. He's not found only.
He had a chance.
Yes, again, one chance. That's it.
But how many do you think he gets in a game? 1 or 2 only.
But no, if Kane's around, no, he has an option to pass. Okay, even if he's not in a good position to score, he'll always know that run is being made by Kane. So that telepathic communication they have between the both of them is impressive.
After the West Brom game, they asked Mourinho, how important is Harry Kane? He said, look, when Kane is there, he scores goals. And then even Son knows how to play. Son can score goals. So it is my job to ensure Kane and Son are there.
That Kane remains fit and his ankles are there to support him throughout the game.
Exactly. All right, we should take a break on Football Total, and after the break, let's talk about Azim's favorite manager and favorite player, and also the player of the week and the games to come. Look forward to for the weekend. Stay tuned to Football Total.
I hope you enjoyed that show. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Storytel and TheWholeTruthFoods.com. So, great week on the network. Number of really, really interesting shows for you guys to check out. Here are a couple of the ones that I would like to highlight for you. Check out This Round Is On Me. Gauri Devi Dayal talks to her husband Jay Yusuf about mixing business and pleasure. They're the husband and wife business partners at Food Matters Company. Give it a shot. Really fun show. On Nankari, they speak about chaat, the queen of the street foods. A fun episode. They canvass the beauty and romance of street food, its cultural importance in a city, and they also discuss the unfortunate harassment that street vendors sometimes go through. On Paisa Vaisa, we had Madhuchanda. They joined Anupam talking about the budget and the different aspects of it. Storytellers and Storytellers features Shreyansh Pandey, creator of Kulak. A great conversation and some interesting insights into facilitating and nurturing writers. Do check that out. On Thale Harate, the Kannada podcast, Mansi Prasad spoke to Pawan Srinath about the history and appreciation of Indian music. It's a really interesting conversation. They discuss classical music and how it evolved in India, what are the various musical instruments and how they developed. Really, really fun, interesting stuff. And with that, I hope to see you again next week.
Welcome back to Football Total. Yash and Azim in the house. Azim, how's the revolution going?
Oh my God! I knew that I am not going to be asked the same question. That who's the best manager according to you? Okay, only for the record before I answer yours. The favorite, I think, up till now, if I have to rate the best manager in the league, I think it would be Brendan Rodgers. Okay, I'm not going to justify it.
Brendan Rodgers is every neutral's choice. People like,
But no. I base it on certain things I've noticed, and he's the only person who's had as many injuries as everybody else, if not more, and has not complained about it. And he's still sitting in the league. He's 2 fullbacks. He never had them. He lost his best centre back. He lost his best defensive midfielder. He started without all of them. He started with a half-fit Vardy, who's still not fit enough. And he's still getting those results. So you have to give it to him that he transformed James Justin. He transformed Tielemans. He transformed this guy as well, Fofana. Nobody knew of Fofana before this season.
Dude, all of us love Brendan. Other than Liverpool fans, I think all of us love Brendan. Why are you justifying Brendan Rodgers as a choice?
I'm just, what should I say? I'm just giving you a reason for my answer to why I find Brendan Rodgers.
Is there anyone who hates Brendan Rodgers? What sort of world are we living in that someone is hating a docile man?
It's not about hating. I have appreciated. I'm appreciating the work he's done with Leicester, and I'm liking what I see when I see them play.
All right. And before we get to Azim, Yash, how's the new revolution going on?
Which new one?
The German-Russian revolution that is underway.
Oh, thank God! I thought you were talking about the Arteta revolution.
No way.
I really thought you were talking about the Arteta revolution.
No, that revolution is come and gone. It's over. Lenin is dead. I'm talking about Tuchel C. Yes, how's it going on? Yes, what do you think?
I honestly think it's going to be. I know Chelsea fans like Lampard, but Tuchel is miles ahead of him simply because of the experience of managing big teams and the years that he's put in Germany and in general. I mean, you can see in the results. I mean, I know that the players weren't playing for Lampard and all those issues were there, but I mean, this season is a nice free hit for him. His next season is when we'll really see what he's made of. If he can really mount a challenge against Pep and Klopp and all these people. So this is a nice fun time for Chelsea fans to enjoy, I guess.
I am so happy Jorginho is back.
Same here. No, I am not happy about Jorginho being back. Okay, and apparently Tuchel's very happy with Jorginho.
Yes.
Do you see? Jorginho is not winning a single aerial ball in midfield. A single one. He doesn't even attempt.
I don't know. What are you?
For the ball.
But is that his game? He's not Fellaini, dude.
Yeah, what are you?
He has to at least try. He's a central midfielder.
Why should he try? What are you? Sam Allard's chacha ka ladka or what? Why do you care if Jorginho is jumping around or not for a header?
Because of that reason, when the receive comes from the goalkeeper, the player is able to control the ball easily and pass it along. Even if he cannot win the header, at least pressurize the player in central midfield that he would control it as well.
Azim, you're not getting it. Tuchel and I are on the same page. We both love Jorginho. And Tuchel wanted Jorginho for so long. He actually asked PSG to get Jorginho, but they didn't. And so he's been a fan of Georgie. And you can see it. Immediately he's put Jorginho and Kovacic in the midfield. And
number 6.
And he's given this fatherly love to Mason Mount, right? I am starting to love Mason Mount so much in the last 3 weeks.
Even I, for me, the player of the week last week was Mason Mount, and you have to hand it to him. See, he's not the teacher's pet only to 2 managers. Now he's a teacher's pet to 3. Okay, he might be doing something right. And from what I heard from Tuchel, he's a team player. Constantly runs around.
From what I heard from Tuchel, you didn't know that otherwise. That's the only thing I was going for him before.
Okay. Come on, he's scoring goals as well. Okay, he's been bailing us out, and he's a good player. Okay, and he's gonna get better under Tuchel. He's gonna get better, and I'm hoping for seeing more of Mason Mount and his.
Yeah, and one more thing I have to say is Callum Hudson-Odoi. By God, man, he looks like a new player under Thomas Tuchel. I know it's just 3-4 weeks, but dude, some of the only problem I have with Chelsea is that they just they have a lot of possession and sometimes they just don't even try a shot on goal. And I don't know, it will come back to bite Tuchel's ass at some point in life.
But what Yash mentioned is correct about. Lampard not being at the same level as Tuchel. That's being seen. He's getting better out of players. If you even Werner was man of the match last against Sheffield.
This is what I don't like. I've been saying this to Azim, verbatim, the same thing for months and months. Ki bhai, no, he's not very good. But no, now what Yash has said is really good.
But the thing is, it's the difference in the gameplay I see, and the same players doing better because they're in better positions to receive the ball. Because I think the tactical nuance of Tuchel is way better than Frank Lampard's. Whatever passion Lampard gets to the team, but it's not enough for surviving in the Premier League. And with the ambitions we have, I don't think Lampard had too big shoes to fill.
It was a job too soon for him.
Yeah, I think you can say that.
Like his great mentor, Jose Mourinho, he can make a comeback 10 years after this stint.
Yeah, but dude, that mentor won 2 Premier Leagues. He was in the Champions League semi-final, some infinite.
It's okay. I mean, he has 9 years to do something in football. So.
But
Exactly.
such things are very hard to come by. He really.
I don't think he's coming back to Chelsea, but I am hoping that he gets something that's more suited to him, and he can develop from there. Because I see certain positives with Lampard as well, but then come on, he's not in the what should I say in the foray as far as Chelsea managers are concerned. Because Chelsea managers have expectations to win titles from the word go, so it's gonna be difficult for somebody like
Yeah,
Lampard.
I hope Lampard gets Newcastle job. You'll get bored to death.
But Steve Bruce is doing a decent job there. I think
No, but once the crowds come back, I think he'll get sacked because nobody likes his football. And Newcastle fans are crazy; they just want attack.
Yeah, I get all my Newcastle news only from True Geordie. So if he hates Steve Bruce, even I hate Steve Bruce. I don't really have to think that much.
I think he has family connections with West Ham, and it was his parent club. So I think that West Ham job will be up soon.
Dude, how?
they did score 3 goals, right? Newcastle did score 3 goals, and without Wilson went off on the 24th minute.
See, Newcastle random crap happens at Newcastle. That's okay. I was bringing West Ham into this thing because I don't think Moyes will want to stay there for much longer.
Yeah, I mean, once
He's done pretty well. I don't
he
know.
will move to Newcastle.
No.
Why? I don't really. Why wouldn't he want to stay there? Because he's in contention for European places right now.
Doesn't matter.
I'm talking about long term, not this summer. So I think eventually he'll go back to Everton is what I feel like, because Don Carlo won't stay there for a long time. He's old.
Yeah, I don't think he's that old that he'd retire. But
but
dude,
Moyes has so much credit at Everton, and he's such an Everton institution that I think he's going to get another stint there.
Yeah, I think Carlo will going to be, but I don't know if Farhad Moshiri, the owner, wants like David Moyes. He wants a sexy name like Don Carlo.
Yeah, but
anyway, so quickly we need to move on.
No, I just said that could be a recipe for disaster, and they might need Moyes to save them from relegation.
Yes, that is so clear to happen, and he'll do another 11 years, then come back to Manchester United, because that time Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to say, the next manager, support him as much as you supported me, and all of that.
Wow.
11 years. I'm looking forward to that one.
All right. The player of the week. I think I can pretty much guess all your players of the week. Yes, yours has to be Phil Foden.
Yeah, I mean, I have 101 points in FPL. All thanks to our man. Like,
Putting your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, that was such a ballsy call, man.
Yeah, ballsy
like Phil Foden, don't you? You've been praising him so much.
Yeah. I mean, this season in particular, I really like him. He's been
And
done a good job.
And Azim, you've said Mason Mount.
Yep. Not only for this particular game week, but the way he's been performing after the managerial change. There was always pressure on Mason Mount to perform because everybody thought that he's Lampard's pet, and Lampard has been putting him on the team, and he might not be deserving of the spot on the team. So he had a point to prove to Tuchel, and he's been doing it fantastically well. So for me, it's Mason Mount.
Mine. I was thinking Harry Maguire or Dominic Calvert-Lewin, right?
I forgot the parental advice. I was going to use something here. I just suddenly realized that Apple would not allow it.
No, you can use it. No problem. Use it. Yeah, I was thinking who among these two. Then I thought, let me choose the guy who came second in the race. So I chose Dominic Calvert-Lewin because he just made me happy for the entire weekend. I was like, wow, this can happen. That was a game Everton played. They did not even play well, dude. First 45 minutes, United was just like faffing around, doing jack shit. They were only 2-0 up, and I thought, oh my god, suddenly they're 2-2. Then who's the donkey scores the third one?
Dominic Calvert-Lewin was a very smart striker. Okay, if you heard his post-match conference, he did say that he was never going to be able to get the first contact on the ball. So what he was waiting for is the second contact on the ball. The guy rushed. Before De Gea could react, the guy rushed.
This is something that Ancelotti must have done, because I saw a long throw-in where they tried the same thing.
Yeah.
Where Michael Keane was there just to flick it on.
Yes.
It's coaching and tactics, man.
Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he's trying to be Tuchel, and for that, he's my player of the week. All right. The game for the weekend, yes, what's your pick, man?
Oh, I'm going to go for a very underrated game, which is Leicester versus Liverpool. It's going to be whether Brendan is going to...
Oh, God, this Brendan always loses it against Liverpool. I hope this time. This is
because they are third and fourth in the league table, and not enough attention is getting paid to this monumental event happening.
Yeah, and Brendan is ex-Chelsea dude. We're always team Brendan here. so
I think Brendan has a. I think this is the best chance Brendan has gotten to beating Liverpool.
If you heard the podcast enough times over the last 2 years, whenever Leicester played Liverpool, we have always said this is the best time Brendan has beat Liverpool, and he gets whacked.
So, he's never coming. Liverpool have never come to play Leicester after 3 defeats. Okay, so I'm confident that Leicester can put up a performance. But then you never know Klopp's Liverpool, so they can make a bounce back. And
so what's going to happen in the game? What's going to happen in the game? Yes.
I think I'm going against the grain. I would say finally Brendan will get one over Liverpool.
And that's same here.
I'm going for a 2-1 result in favor of.
I'm also
in favor of Leicester. Sorry, in favor of Brendan.
In favor of Leicester, yeah.
I'm going for a 4-2 Leicester win. Like they're just going to steamroll Liverpool.
Who's going to score 2 goals for Liverpool? They're not scoring goals. Okay,
Salah will jump for a penalty, right?
For those 2 goals.
No, one dive from Salah, one penalty, and one Mane will score. And Firmino will look on.
just like his 0.2 chances in front of the goal versus City.
Kabhi to marega na.
Chalo, let's hope.
All right, Azim, what's your game for the weekend?
My game's gonna be Spurs versus City. Come on, there's nothing. There's no question marks over my.
We've already spoken about it. What's going to be the score for that?
No, that's a tough one. I think it's gonna be 1-1.
What? Dude, City is not a team which scores only 1 goal in a game. But Jose brings in Eric Dyer. Right? It can be anything. But I'm so disappointed in you guys, and so I'm going to choose a killer game for my game of the week. It's Arteta versus Bielsa. Guys.
That's going to be a good game, yeah.
That is it. I don't know what games you guys are looking forward to. Games. I'm looking forward to the revolution versus revolution. It's like if French Revolution fought with Lenin. This is what's going to happen.
Wow. And it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game for us.
It'll be for us to watch.
I don't think it's going to be a tough game for us to watch. We're going to enjoy it, okay? Because Bielsa's going to come with all he's got. And that midfield is a powerhouse. They keep on running. So Xhaka is going to have a tough time. Partey, I don't know who's the third guy that starts in the midfield. But whosoever does, they're going to have a tough time keeping up with those nitrous-induced midfield.
Yeah, it'll be a great game. I have a feeling Leeds are going to win this 3-1.
3-1? Oh, come on. Arsenal have been defending well, dude. At least give them that much.
That's why I'm giving only 3 to Leeds.
It's at the Emirates. For God's sake, they're at home.
So what does Emirates do? Call this home and away stadiums. No one cares anymore. As you can see from Champions League, they're all playing in Romania and everywhere. So no one really cares for home and away anymore. All right, I think we've gone on for too long. Yash, thanks a lot, man.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Before you do just bid your goodbyes, at least predict the score for the game.
I did. 3-1 Leeds.
3-1 Leeds. Okay, fine. Okay.
Yes.
Gooners are not going to be happy with your prediction. Let's go.
No problem. I don't care. Anyway, Azim, the time's up. Take care, man.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Guys.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
If you love cricket, listen up. The Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast is here for you. Hosted by DJ, Varun, and me, Ashwin, we bring a fun, fresh fan's point of view to talking all things cricket. Sometimes it's just the three of us, sometimes we have guests, including current and former international cricketers. For new episodes every week, check out the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast on the IVM app, website, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, I'm Zarina, your peak performance coach, leadership coach, and life coach. And I'm here to unleash that power within you with your weekly dose of mantras and empowerment. Tune in to Monday Mantras every Monday for your quick fix, and the Empowering Series with Zarina Poonawalla every Thursday for riveting real-life stories. You can catch us on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcasts from.